Thank you. Our theme for today, am I on here?
I don't think you're.
Yes.
Okay. How are we doing?
No.
Move it up on your time. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Now
It's a
you're
plot. So you can't hear me. Is that better? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so our theme for today is open at the top and exploring new ideas. And I really worked on that. The problem is I don't have any new ideas, so it made the theme a little difficult. But I am into recycling, so I thought, well, why don't I take what's already here and sort of look at it in a new way, and that way it'll be a new idea. And as I thought about that, I said, so what we have to do is look at what we see already in order to find a new way to see it. The problem with that is that we don't see very well. Did you ever think about that? I mean, if you go out on a plain, a field, and you look out there, you see a flat earth. And yet, the earth isn't flat at all. I know. When you look at the sunrise and you see it moving up there, I remember when I was young, my father would play jokes on us all the time. And he told me, of course, well, the sun isn't really moving, the earth is spinning, and it makes it look like it. And I'm going, oh yeah, sure it is. I don't feel the earth moving. Do we feel the earth moving? We see the sun move. Our eyes fool us all the time. We look up and we see the stars, and we see all of these stars as they are right now. But that's not true at all. Light travels at a particular speed. We're seeing some stars as they were 5 years ago, some stars as they were 1,000,000 years ago. Some of the stars we're seeing aren't even there anymore. So our eyes and our senses are not something that we can rely on very well to tell us the truth. I mean, we've talked about this before. We think everything is solid. It feels solid, and yet it's matters, minute bits of matter suspended in energy structures. It's not solid at all. And in fact, there was an experiment done at Harvard in 1999 by a psychology professor. You may have heard this before. But he wanted to look at how people see things. And so he made this video. It was about 1.5 minutes long. Very simple video. He took 6 students. 3 of them had on black t-shirts. 3 of them had on white t-shirts. He had them go around in a circle, and the ones in the black t-shirts threw a basketball to each other as they went around. The ones in the white t-shirts did that. And he showed this video to people, and he said, I want you to count how many times the students in white t-shirts pass the ball. And you can't mark this down. I want you to think about it. You count it and keep track in your mind. And halfway through that 90-second video, he had a student in a gorilla outfit who walks right into the middle of the action, turns and faces the camera, beats his chest, and walks off. Takes about 10 seconds. So he shows this video to a bunch of people with the instruction to count the passes. Then he asked them what else did they see. Half of the people never saw the person in the gorilla outfit. Many of them were sure it wasn't there until they re-looked at the video. We don't see things very well. Now, when you think about this, I thought, well, what's the purpose of our senses? Why do we have them? And of course, part of it is to keep us alive in this physical plane, so we can see danger, we can see food to eat, etc. But it kind of seems like maybe the other reason we have them is to fool us, that they're purposely designed to confuse us. Now, why would our senses be purposely designed to confuse us? And I thought, well, one reason is that maybe we're built by aliens from another planet who want to keep us entrapped, and so they build us so we'd have these senses that confuse us. Now, I know that seems a little odd, but then I'm sure a few of you are aliens from another planet. I'm not naming names right now. But there is another reason. I know you've all heard the idea that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We know that Angie says he's a spiritual being vacationing here on earth. You've heard that we have these lives so that divine spirit can experience the manifestation. Now, what do these all have in common? What they have in common is that the experience has to be believable. If you're a spiritual being here to experience the physical, but the physical doesn't seem real, then you're not going to get the experience, are you? The system has to be designed where you're totally immersed in it for this divine spirit to have this experience. It's kind of like, do you ever see young children watching a movie? And when they watch the movie, they're totally engrossed in it. I mean, that movie becomes their life. Any kinds of weird things can happen, and it's all believable to them. Now, Gene says, I watch movies like that too, and that's very possible. But that's the experience you have to get. Right, I agree entirely, you see. And so, for that, perhaps that's what that's telling us, is we're not supposed to see beyond the physical. I mean, maybe the concept of divine spirit is that we're not supposed to look behind the curtain. Maybe we're supposed to be fooled for this whole lifetime, and until we move beyond this plane, we're not supposed to see anything else. And yet, one of our master teachers, Jesus, he said, recognize what is before your eyes, and the mysteries will be revealed. For there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, and nothing covered that will not be uncovered. So he is telling us that yes, what we normally see is not all there is, and we have the capability of seeing beyond that. So there's our goal. How do we go about doing that? I think one of the answers is in that little video, that experiment the psychology professor did. Because what does that teach us? I'm going to tell you, you don't have to guess. What does that teach us? It teaches us that we've always been told we see with our eyes, but we don't see with our eyes. You see, the light, everybody who watched that video saw the same thing. The light that came from that video went into their eyes, the impulse went into their brain the exact same way for everyone, and yet people saw radically different things. Half of them saw the person in the gorilla suit, half of them absolutely did not see it. And what that tells us is that we don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain, with our mind. Our mind, which is the connection to divine spirit, is what we see with. And so what we need to do is teach our mind to see in a different way. So how do we do that? Amazingly enough, I think one of the little clues is in what's sort of a children's book by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, The Little Prince. And the little prince says, I will tell you my secret. It's a very simple secret. To see rightly, you must look with your heart. For what is essential is invisible to the eyes. Look, he's telling us just that. Don't be fooled into thinking you're going to see what's essential with your eyes. So what does that mean to look with your heart? Of course, it doesn't mean we have an eye in our chest we need to let it look with. But to look with the heart means to look with love. To look with unconditional love at things in order to see what's essential. And that next step, to me, leads us back again to the Gospel of Thomas, with the Master Jesus saying, when you can make the two one, you will become children of humanity, and when you say, mountain, move from here, it will move. Wow. When you can make the two one. So what two is it talking about? It's talking about this separation that we create. That we see two worlds all of the time. We see the physical, we see the spiritual. But we also see us as separate entities. Aren't we separate entities? Oh, of course we're not. I mean, we know this. We've talked about it. Physically, we're not separate. This looks like I end here and the rest of the world starts there, but that's an illusion. There's a constant exchange of energy. There's a constant exchange of molecules, of electrons, of atoms. There is no finite line where I end and the world begins. And spiritually, we have the illusion that we're separate, but we're not. We can experience this in this lifetime as a separation. But when we learn to look with our hearts, we can experience as a unity. We have the capability of making the two one and to see what's essential and to take this old and recycle it and make it a new world for us all. Okay.